Ahead on NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We've been to some fun and amazing places in our travels with Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Today, we're taking a look back at some of our favorite stories, the ones that had everyone talking.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks so much for joining us. Over the years, we've met a lot of interesting people and seen a lot of cool places, and we'll share some of those stories with you today. So let's get started. We begin in Nashville, where the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA trade show returns in 2017. The last time convention stopped in Nashville was 2014. That's when Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Sharon Alseth got a behind-the-scenes look at the Opryland Hotel, one of the largest and most amazing hotels you'll ever visit.
Once you check into the Gaylord Opryland Resort, don't expect to see the outside world for a couple of days. And why would you need to? This massive facility has more than enough amenities to satisfy the needs of any guest.
People are amazed just at the magnitude of this place. I mean, as one of the largest combined convention and resort hotels in the country, there's a lot to explore. So Gaylord Opryland Resort has 2,882 rooms, all on one campus. Inside our 9 acres of indoor gardens, you'll find more than 50,000 tropical plants. And we can't forget about our quarter-mile-long river inside our Delta Atrium. One of the amazing things about Gaylord Opryland is that we keep our atriums at 72 degrees year-round. So even in the middle of winter, it's a perfect tropical paradise.
The Opryland Hotel first opened in 1977 with 600 rooms and has expanded over the years into the massive multiplex it is today. Of course, country music is one of the first things people think of when they think of Nashville, and the Opryland Resort works hard to offer guests all the excitement and energy of the Music City under one roof.
Music City is what Nashville is known as, and we have tried really hard to bring that into the resort experience here at the hotel. One of the things that we hear from our guests all the time is how much they love our proximity to the Grand Ole Opry House next door. We also have live music at our Opry Backstage Grill. A lot of our restaurants here at the hotel offer live music. And you've got to head downtown, experience the Wild Horse Saloon, line dancing. It's an experience unto itself.
This is the largest non-gaming hotel facility in the continental United States, so finding your way around can sometimes be a challenge. Jenny has some useful advice to help you get around the hotel.
If you're visiting the hotel for the first time, one of the tips that I recommend is have some comfortable shoes. There is a lot of walking involved, and as we like to say around here, calories don't count at Opryland. You are going to get a bit of exercise going from point A to point B. And then another fun trick is that our map, you'll notice the colors of the carpet correspond with the color coding on the map. So for example, if you're in our Delta section, the carpets are red. If you're in the convention, the carpet centers are blue. It's a good little hint.
As you can imagine, the food is an important point to consider with a beef convention in town. Opryland chefs are hard at work making sure there are plenty of beef choices on the menus for the thousands of members of the cattle industry staying at the resort.
My team typically starts right around 2 o'clock in the morning for breakfast, and then goes all the way lunch and dinner, and then my second shift starts at 2 o'clock and they work until about 10 o'clock at night.
You'll be happy to know that beef is on the menu year-round, not just when the cattle industry comes to town.
We serve several hundred thousands of pounds per year of beef in general, just on our banquet side of the facilities. We do anything from braising, smoking, grilling, and pan searing. So for groups of 20 all the way up to 6,500. Beef is so flexible because you can fully cook it and cook it to the point where it's just awesome and tender, and then you can just pan sear certain cuts or put them on the char grill, and then it's perfectly cooked as well. It's so versatile.
Over the years, I cannot begin to tell you how many hundreds of thousands of pounds of beef that we have serve to our customers. We have more than a dozen restaurants under one roof here, including our signature steakhouse, Old Hickory Steakhouse, and our banquet servers as well will be serving some amazing beef dishes while you're here.
With so much to see and do, as well as lots of space for meetings and the trade show, the Gaylord Opryland Resort is an ideal place for cattlemen and women to meet.
I think it's a lot of fun for us to have the Cattlemen here at Gaylord Opryland. There's just a spirit and an energy that's here, having them under our roof and seeing the cowboy hats, the belt buckles. It's just so much fun for us.
Reporting from the Opryland Resort in Nashville, Tennessee, I'm Sharon Alseth for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
There's plenty to see and do in Nashville outside the Opryland. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Brian Baxter had the chance to visit the farm of one American president who not only loved our great country, but also the cattle industry.
Andrew Jackson was the 7th president in the United States. He gained his initial national fame by winning the Battle of New Orleans at the end of the War of 1812. After that, he sort of became a national hero.
Today's Americans may know President Jackson for his place of honor on the $20 bill. But Andrew Jackson came from humble beginnings before being celebrated as a president and war hero.
Andrew Jackson was a character, would be a good word to describe him. He had come up from poverty. His family was Irish immigrants. They moved to the United States, or what would become the United States, just before his birth. And his father died just before he was born. His mother died when he was a teenager. Both of his brothers died during the Revolutionary War. And so he had to make his way in the world by himself. And he didn't have the kind of education and background that a lot of the earlier presidents had had.
President Jackson spent most of his career as an attorney and nearly all his adult life in Middle Tennessee. It's where he built his home, the Hermitage. Today, it's a historic museum, but in Jackson's day, it was a working farm.
In his day, they grew cotton as the cash crop. They grew approximately 200 to 300 acres of cotton. Then they also grew corn, wheat, oats, other crops that they needed to sustain the family life and the animal life on the farm. He also had 150 slaves, so they grew several large fields of sweet potatoes and Irish potatoes.
Today, Jackson's farm includes a small herd of belted Galloways, but during his time, the more than 1,100 acres were home to beef and dairy cattle.
Andrew Jackson did have some livestock. He had cattle, probably just a few, mostly for beef purposes. Actually, after he died, his family kind of got into the dairy business and sold butter. The 1850 agricultural census shows them selling 1,000 pounds of butter that year.
Jackson lived at the Hermitage with his wife Rachel and their adopted sons. The Hermitage still honors the couple and their legacy today.
In addition to the farm crop, demonstration crops we grow, we have a 1-acre pleasure garden that is the garden that Jackson had designed for his wife Rachel. And we grow mostly the kinds of plants that would have been available in the middle 1800s. They were buried in the garden, so his tomb is here also as part of the garden. So you get the full experience. His home, his first home, his tomb, it's all right here.
The preservation of the Hermitage is a way to honor this 7th president of the United States, known as a champion of the common man. In Nashville, Tennessee, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
The Hermitage is quite a sight to see in Tennessee, especially if you plan to join us for next year's Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show. The 2017 convention runs from February 1st through the 3rd at the Opryland Hotel. You can go to the website beefusa.org for all the details on this can't-miss event. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll visit an outstanding San Diego steakhouse and butcher shop. And speaking of butcher shops, we'll show you a 100-year-old meat market in San Antonio. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
There is a new world out there, revealing itself in unpredictable ways. A world that demands more from the land and those who grow, farm, and build on it. This new world calls for the ingenuity to get more out of it, while preserving as much as we can. After all, to stay ahead of tomorrow, we need to be equipped for it today. New Holland, equipped for a new world.
What does it mean to be dependable? It means you do what you say you'll do time and time again. Because performance isn't optional, and your task is essential. For over 95 years, we have proven ourselves to be the most dependable choice. That's why the cattlemen of this great nation trust Ritchie to provide fresh water on demand. Ritchie, proud to be a partner to the American Cattlemen since 1921.
Welcome back. As you can imagine, when you have a show called Cattlemen to Cattlemen, you're always on the hunt for a great steak. We've been lucky enough to eat at some fantastic restaurants that proudly serve U.S. beef. Reporter Russell Nemitz tracked down an outstanding San Diego steakhouse and butcher shop in the historic Gas Lamp Quarter.
Today finds us in the historic and beautiful Gas Lamp District of downtown San Diego. And as we get ready to set sail for San Diego for the 2016 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, a must-stop and a must-do experience here in downtown San Diego is the Cowboy Star Restaurant and Butcher Shop. And with us is one of the owners, John Weber. And John, honestly, from the moment I stepped foot into your establishment here, I fell in love. It's almost like a collision of the Old West and the 21st century here.
Absolutely. Thanks for saying that, by the way. I appreciate that. You know, when you do step through the door, our goal is to surround you with kind of an experience, take you away from your everyday, and just give you 2 hours where you're not thinking about the outside world, and we're just gonna take you in and give you a great experience.
You know, in the bar section, folks are going to find out that they're going to have a great experience there ahead of their dinner, but they're going to probably notice there aren't any TVs, there aren't any outside world distractions, if you will.
Absolutely. Like I said, our goal was to really surround you with the Cowboy Star experience. We call it the CSE. We want you to come in and not have to worry about your day-to-day or what's happening on the news or anything like that. And so that was kind of our decision, was to make that bold statement and not have TVs in the space.
You know, despite the beautiful Pacific Ocean just steps away from here in downtown San Diego, we need to shout it out that San Diego's a steak town.
San Diego's absolutely a steak town. We've been open for about just finished our 7th year, and I would absolutely say San Diego's a steak town.
Of course, we're going to have thousands and thousands of cattlemen and cattlewomen coming to San Diego the end of January for the 2016 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show. And like I said, from the moment they walk in, they're going to love the decor.
Absolutely, and we want to be able to resonate with someone that is has an experience with the beef industry, and if you look around, we have the cowhide furniture, and just hopefully it resonates with them a little bit.
I, for one, like the old style round booths when you're eating a fantastic steak here at the Cowboy Star.
Yeah, we wanted to bring in that feeling of kind of the old world steakhouse, but we still wanted to have kind of a new twist on things. And so the booths were absolutely something that, in my mind, the way I envisioned a restaurant like this, we just had to have them.
You know, speaking of a wonderful eating experience, something fantastic here at the Cowboy Star is also the open kitchen area where folks get to have a dialogue with the very people preparing their food.
Absolutely. So the open kitchen is probably one of my favorite places. I would say that the chef's counter seating is the best seating in the restaurant. We wanted that to be part of the experience that we've been talking about, where you can come in and talk to the person that's actually creating your food and see what they're doing, and it becomes very interactive, where we'll have guests asking for recipes, or hey, can I try that? What is that? A lot of times the chefs will be preparing a little something, and if they have some left over, say, hey, will you try this for me? But it's a great spot to, it's part of the show. Yep. And what we wanted also to do is, even if you're not sitting at those seats, all of the chairs and the dining room kind of looks at the open kitchen. There's one table 106, and it's a really small table for 2 people, so it's kind of like a intimate table. It's the only table in the restaurant that faces slightly away from the open kitchen. We did that on purpose.
All right, now you said you're originally from Chicago, and of course back in the day a lot of cattle were railed into the old Chicago stockyards. How did you come up with bringing, an old style steakhouse into this area of San Diego?
Well, my mom would kill me because I'm actually originally from Indiana. I lived in Chicago. So I grew up seeing farms, and of course ours were all soybean and corn. But the idea of bringing a steakhouse to San Diego was, it was kind of something that I saw that was missing in San Diego, and it was that concept that kind of was based on the Old West. And growing up in the Midwest, the West is just this very it's this very romantic thing, and it's like you watch it on TV, and I grew up watching these old black and white movies of these cowboys, and there was a good guy and a bad guy, and you always knew who was who because, by the music that was playing or by the hat they were wearing, and if you wanted to go from point A to point B, you just got on your horse and you rode that way. And it was just such a simpler time. And so, my idea with creating a restaurant that was just based on the Old West, as I started to really put it together, I thought, you know what? I want more people to get involved with this and to have and I wanted to touch them. So I started to really think about that same time period, the 20s and 30s, and how could I romanticize the Old West a little bit? And so I kept going back to Hollywood in the 20s and 30s, and champagne bottles popping and cabaret, and so I put those 2 ideas together, the West and Hollywood, and came up with the Hollywood Cowboy Star. And so that's really how we got the name of Cowboy Star, was the combination of those 2 ideas.
Well, you guys have done a fantastic job, and one more time for all those cattlemen and cattlewomen coming to San Diego at the end of January for the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA trade show, you promised they're going to have one of the greatest beef eating experiences they've ever had.
I don't promise it, I guarantee it. They will absolutely love what they're having. We're just showcasing their hard work, to tell you the truth. We're just taking all their hard work and putting it on a plate and doing our best to really showcase what they're doing.
There you go. Folks, I promise you, you're going to love it here at the Cowboy Star in downtown San Diego. Reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, I'm Russell Nemitz.
There's nothing quite like the experience of visiting your local butcher to pick up a top quality steak or roast. In San Antonio, there's a meat market that has been proudly serving customers for more than a century. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Brad Bulla had a chance to visit this iconic business.
Believe it or not, this building has been standing on this corner in San Antonio for more than 100 years. And you may not be able to tell from the outside, but a quick step inside proves that Bollner's Meat Market is a business built on high-quality beef.
We started in 1914, 100 years ago. My grandfather started his mercantile store. We used to sell everything. About 1932, my Uncle Dave got out of the Army and started the meat market. And that's how we got in the meat business, around 1932.
Beef is a big part of what we do. This is a family-owned and operated business, and it's been center to the plate and has taken a bunch of the attention of the company. It's what we do.
Bollner's is famed for its quality meat and skilled butchers. At the heart of the business is the pristine display counter, where USDA Prime, Choice, and Akaushi beef is cut to order for customers.
Bollner's has a long-standing reputation for quality and service, and that's one thing we're not going to skimp on. We do a bunch of different style cutting. We're all old-fashioned meat cutters. Here we still break carcasses. We get swinging cattle in here. So by doing that, we're not limited on what we can do. We're not limited to boxed beef. We do a lot of personalized chuck roasts. People say, Joe, I like my chuck roast 2.5 inches. We'll cut a chuck roast at 2.5 inches. If people say, Joe, can I get a prime brisket? Sure, we've got prime briskets. Can you trim my prime briskets? And we say yes. There's a lot of different things that we do that people appreciate. The customers here love what we do. I always tell them, I can give you bad advice, I can give you a bad direction, but I'm not going to give you a bad steak. And we're going to cut them the way you like them, I guarantee you.
It's not just San Antonio families that are fond of Bollner's. The business ships beef to customers all across the U.S. You don't get to stay in business this long without offering a high-quality product. One key lesson they've learned at Boldner's is that good beef starts on the ranch.
Our focus all these years has been on providing quality beef to the customers, and the beef industry has helped us a lot and provided, the better quality meat, and we just try to make it better.
Our focus here is to put the best available product out to our customers at all time. We shop the industry market all the time, and we're always looking for the best quality. By far, we're not price buyers. We want quality for our customers, and we want the best out there all the time. And we have a saying here, we say, we cut them the way you like them. So we're gonna cut a steak, just the way you like it. We're gonna prepare and wrap your meat exactly the way you want it.
If you're looking for great beef cuts, a trip to this 4th generation family-owned and operated market is definitely in order. The folks at Boldner's are excited that so many members of the cattle industry are coming to San Antonio.
We welcome you with open arms. We love what y'all do for the industry. Hang in there. It's a tough business, and we know it, and we appreciate y'all greatly. The passion and love for what y'all do in the cattle industry shows here. And we need to represent your product, and we are representing your product to our customers.
When you hear somebody tell you, hey, man, that's the best steak I ever had, that's the best brisket I ever had, it just makes you feel good. And it's a living. The cattle industry has been good to us, and the cattlemen have been good to us, and we try to just keep it going and make it better for them.
Reporting from San Antonio, Texas, I'm Brad Bullough for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Now, we're only showing you a small number of all of the wonderful stories we've covered over the years. You can see them all on our YouTube page. You'll find replays of all of our shows filled with educational segments and producer profiles from around the country. It's also another chance to see Baxter Black. So check us out at youtube.com/Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll take you to Greeley Hat Works for a behind-the-scenes look at how they make their legendary lids. And we'll see a San Antonio museum that celebrates the art, history, and culture of the American West. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The things we like about that gator is it's kind of a go-all, do-all machine. We load it up, we put it in some of the dirty jobs that we can match with it. It helps us clean pens. We'll use that to haul anything out of the pens that we need to and go out and dump it. We also take it for feeding outside pastures. I am Rita Hunsucker, and I live for this.
Long range, huh? Says here in a weight gain trial of 15,000 stockers, parasite control with long range outperformed 5 other dewormers by an average of 28 pounds. Extra 28 pounds per head. Wonder what that'd feel like.
Do not treat within 48 days of slaughter. Not for use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older, including dry dairy cows or in veal calves. Post-injection site damage such as granulomas and necrosis can occur. These reactions have disappeared without treatment. You have a lot to gain with long range.
Welcome back. Many ranchers consider it the most important part of their wardrobe. We're talking about the cowboy hat. We visited Greeley Hat Works to find out more about the function and the fashion of today's cowboy hats.
Hi, I'm Trent Johnson. Welcome to Greeley Hat Works. Let me tell you about my store.
Well, it started out as Greeley Hat and Shine Parlor in 1909 in downtown Greeley, and it was started by 2 Greek brothers. I'm actually the 4th hat maker to own it, and I was an apprentice here for 3.5 years before I bought it. First thing is definitely very much customer based, is being able to talk to the customer about, besides just color and style, but what's the function of the hat? How do they wear a hat? How are they going to use the hat? That only helps us determine kind of how to build it, not just for dimensions and shape, but also helps us give recommendations and suggestions on what quality of hat they should get and why. We have got to build hats for lots of famous folks. Like I think the last 10 presidents of the NCBA, that was at the top, and then after that, you know, we got to do President Bush a few times. And then he hooked us up with some other people like Vladimir Putin and Secretary General of the United Nations, the Emir of Kuwait, Rudy Giuliani, lots of other people. Really, the importance of having something handcrafted, because, I mean, there are nice machine-made hats. I mean, a lot of the brand X type big box hat companies, they do have some nice products, but there's no ownership of that hat. I'm not running a factory here. My whole thing is about the ownership of the hat. So when an order comes in, whether it's an individual or a store, one of my guys or gals gets that order from start to finish, except for the parts, you know, like Sharon prints all the sweatbands and sews them together. But as far as building the hats, everybody gets and puts their initials in it. So if the customer's really happy, we know who built the hat. And if there is an issue, there's no passing the buck. It isn't like, oh yeah, processor number 14 forgot to do that part of the step. And we all take great ownership in being able to build good products. So one of the fun things about either, you know, coming into our store here in Greeley, visiting one of our retail partners, or finding us at a show on the road, is being able to help create your hat. You know, so in our store and a lot of our trade show displays, we have a lot of hats like these that are open and flat that haven't been shaped. And these are just waiting for owners to give them the character that they need. I mean, creases in hats are very personal. It's kind of an extension of your personality. So on this one, this is a nice light tan hat called this is called Sahara. This is a binding and a 12-line ribbon. This gives it a little bit of an Old West flair, but it's still a very functional hat. And then when you go in a little bit more contemporary, a lot of the newer hats have more of a shoveled or squared crease across here. Once again, now we've still got a ribbon band on here, but this is a kind of a spin-off of the open road type ribbon without the tails, something we call it a J-bow. But once again, the binding on most hats doesn't really serve a function as much as of a type of style. Now this is one of my most favorite colors. This is natural beaver. There's no bleach or dye. It's a very nice neutral color. It's the same color as dirt, and it'll go with anything your wife makes you wear. So this one is always a safe bet. Our buckle sets on all of our beaver blends and pure beavers are sterling silver, hand engraved, made here in the US by Americans. I know it's a novel concept, but it still does happen. And then, as we were talking earlier about some of the upgrades, this is a finger carved sweatband. So it's all hand carved. We could put your name in there, we could put a brand or something. And once again, it really doesn't serve a function, but it looks really nice and would definitely make any owner proud. Same quality as all of our other hats. The PBR line has a PBR buckle, PBR markings on the inside on the sweatband and the liner, but once again can be customized in 9 different colors and about any type of style. So a lot of what we see around the US, especially with national cattlemen and more beef producers and farmers and ranchers, is more of a cattleman style. Once again, it's probably not out of function anymore as much as it used to be, but I mean, this is what Dad wore, this is what Grandpa wore, so it's gonna kind of be your own type of family tradition. But we put lots of different spins on it and can make any kind of hat you'd like.
Every day, the NCBA staff here in Denver and in Washington, D.C. is working on the issues that matter to cattle-producing families. You can help in the fight for our industry's future by becoming an NCBA member. Just call 1-866-USA-BEEF or go online to the website beefusa.org. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll head to Arkansas for the sizzle, the steak, and the fun at the World Championship Steak Cook-Off. Plus, we'll check in with the always entertaining cowboy poet, Baxter Black. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
No storm is too powerful for New Purina Wind and Rain Storm Minerals, formulated with ultimate weather resistance. That means more minerals in the feeder and available to your cattle. Wind and Rain Storm Minerals provide more consistent intake and balanced mineral nutrition to optimize herd health and breedback rates. See the difference at your local Purina dealer or visit cattlenutrition.com. Wind and Rain Storm Minerals, another way Purina is building better cattle.
It's the official monthly publication of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. The National Cattleman is produced exclusively for NCBA members and includes coverage of the news and events affecting our industry. Every issue includes market analysis, feature stories, and practical management tips. Start receiving your copy of The National Cattleman. Call 866-USA-BEEF or go online to beefusa.org and join today.
The art, tradition, and culture of the American West is like none other. In San Antonio, we found a museum dedicated to preserving that unique and special history. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Sharon Alseth had the chance to visit this impressive museum for a private tour.
Well, I think what we do here that's really special is to show that the American West is still alive and thriving. It's not just about history. While we have a lot of artifacts, even things that date back to the Alamo, Spanish colonial works, we also have a lot of contemporary paintings.
The building that opened as San Antonio's first central library back in 1930 is now home to the Briscoe Western Art Museum. The Art Deco neoclassical building houses art and artifacts not only representing the history of Texas, but that of cattle country and the Great American West.
You know, San Antonio is one of the most iconic cities of the American West. Of course, everyone knows about the Battle of the Alamo, and the Alamo is just a couple blocks away from here. So there's really no better place for this museum. And even being right on the Riverwalk, on the San Antonio River, we're right next to one of the oldest known crossings. So literally thousands of cattle crossed right here by the museum. So there's a lot of history in this location.
The museum houses both original and replica pieces dating back to the mid-1800s. Popular exhibits throughout the 9 galleries include a recreation of the Battle of the Alamo and an authentic reproduction of a Wells Fargo stagecoach, as well as oil paintings, clothing, and more from the American West.
Yes, so right behind me is an authentic chug wagon by John Deere. It was owned by someone here in town who used to be or still is a champion chuck wagon cook. And in this gallery, it's the Governor Dolph Briscoe Jr. Gallery. The theme here is work. And so we've got the chuck wagon. You may hear the sounds behind me of a windmill that came from a ranch in New Mexico. And then other paintings that evoke work. And then also firearms, saddles, that type of thing.
There's also a beautiful sculpture garden that's perfect for enjoying the San Antonio weather, and an entire exhibit that focuses on saddles and spurs.
Just in this adjacent gallery is our San Antonio Livestock Show and Rodeo Saddles and Spurs Gallery, and we have 2 large cases, one that exhibits over 100 spurs, and then right across from it, one that exhibits different saddles, and including Pancho Villa's last known saddle that's in that gallery. There's so many great pieces. In the gallery next to us is the Enrique and Lydia Guerra and Family Gallery. He's a collector of the finest Spanish colonial Mexican pieces, and there's a saddle in that gallery from the 17th century. That is a Spanish saddle. It's actually embroidered silk. I mean, you'll never see anything like it here in the New World, as they say. So you'd have to go to Spain to see something like that. It's a really extraordinary piece.
So saddle up and consider a visit to the Briscoe Western Art Museum. Reporting from San Antonio, Texas, I'm Sharon Alseth for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
As passionate as we cattlemen are about producing beef, I'm thankful there are consumers who are equally passionate about grilling and eating great beef. One of the great celebrations of grilling beef happens every May in Magnolia, Arkansas. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter John Robinson gives us a taste of the World Championship Steak Cook-Off.
Today was a great event here in Magnolia. It was the 25th annual World Championship Steak Cook-Off. But you're talking 81 cooking teams from all over the United States. It brings about 20,000 people to a little town of Magnolia, Arkansas that is really only 11,000 people at any given day.
There are some really, really good cooks here. I mean, there's some folks come from all over the United States here.
As a cattleman, it's really hard to put into words an event like this unless you come here and see it. You know, when you talk about 5,000 to 6,000 ribeyes that are going to be served right here this evening on this square, an event like this is huge.
Tell us a little bit about your rig and what makes it unique.
Well, our rig is made from scrap metal from the ground up. The only thing that was bought was the axle that it's riding on and the tank here that was an old propane tank. So everything was built from scrap. It's kitchen on wheels. And so we love it, and we love cooking steaks. Right there, my boy BV, he cooks it up, and he cooks it up right every time. So
this cooker is part of our family. It's a cooker that went through the EF4 tornado in Mayflower, Arkansas. 190 mile-an-hour winds. We found the rig, you know, away from the house. It was quite a distance, upside down. As you can tell, one of the stovepipes is bent, but it was found 8 inches in the ground.
Number one, it's the size, I think. This was built to cook steaks. It's about 8,000 pounds. It's 22 feet long. We've got 4 pits, and we put about 25 pounds of charcoal in each one. And, you know, we can cook about 100 steaks at a time. We get about 25 at each pit.
But the key is the thickness, because most grills are made out of much thinner metal. These are made out of 3/4 inch thick steel. So it holds heat. I can do over 1,000 degrees at the grate without flare. I'm a big believer in hot and fast when it comes to beef. I can do a medium ribeye in under 6 minutes. Of course, I let it rest a little bit after that. But high, hot heat sears it, seals in your juices, seals in your flavors.
What's your favorite cut of steak?
Ribeye. Ribeye is my favorite.
I'm a ribeye man.
Ribeye, bar none. You know, of course, you get the strips, you get the sirloins, and you've got the filet. But for us, the ribeye, it's marbled with flavor. It's surrounded by flavor, and you just cannot go wrong with a ribeye.
Sure enough, ribeye. It's an American cut of beef. You won't find one on the square that doesn't love beef. We're at the top realm. Memphis in May is going on right now over in Memphis, and I'm sure it's full of swine, but right here today, it's all about beef.
We enjoy good steaks in Magnolia, Arkansas, and we do appreciate all those farmers' hard work.
There are many great reasons to become a member of NCBA, and one of them is the chance to read the National Cattlemen. It's the official publication of NCBA and provides timely news and articles about the issues and events affecting the beef industry. A subscription is included free of charge when you become a member of NCBA. Joining is easy. Just give us a call at 1-866-USA-BEEF, or you can visit us online at beefusa.org. Still ahead, we'll have the latest from Baxter Black. Plus, we'll swing by the oldest saloon in Texas. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The 2017 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show is set for Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. It's the cattle industry's biggest convention with education, networking, and fun. Plus, you can check out the huge NCBA Trade Show, outstanding entertainment, and much more. Mosey on down to Music City for the 2017 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, February 1st through the 3rd. Visit beefusa.org for more.
Every truck can tow a boat. Every truck can climb a hill. Every truck can haul a trailer. But not everyone can say they're the fastest growing truck brand in America. Guts, Glory, Ram.
I have to admit, in our travels, we've stopped by a watering hole or two for a nice, cool beverage. But not many places we visited are as unique as the one we're about to show you. Brian Baxter takes us to the Buckhorn Saloon, a must-see in San Antonio.
All it takes is one look at Texas Bob Reinhardt to realize the Buckhorn Saloon is not your typical watering hole. More than 130 years old, this historic bar and museum is located right in the heart of San Antonio. It was started by a young entrepreneur who had the brilliant idea to accept horns and antlers in exchange for free beer or whiskey from his saloon.
Well, the Buckhorn Saloon was established in 1881 by Albert Frederick. He was a 17-year-old bartender and bellhop at the old Southern Hotel on Main Plaza. In 1881, he decided to open his own saloon across the street, called it the Buckhorn. He was a hunter himself, so he brought some of his own trophies in to decorate with. Then his friends would come in and say, I've got a bigger rack than I had at home. He said, bring it in, I'll hang it up. Then he collected trophies for years from big game hunters, donated. He'd buy trophies he liked, he'd take them and trade if people owed him money.
We also have a cafe on site that's open for lunch every day from 11 to 3, a wonderful gift shop, and as you can see right behind me, a saloon. And that is the original back bar that was opened in 1881. It's made of cherry wood and marble columns, and that's the original mirror from 1881 as well.
Over the years, San Antonio's most popular saloon has welcomed famous Americans such as Teddy Roosevelt and Will Rogers. They all came to get a look at one of the world's largest and most unique collections of horns, antlers, and animals. The exhibit halls showcase over 520 species of wildlife, many of which are record holders.
Well, one of the icons is right behind me here, Old Tex. At one time, he was the world record longhorn steer. His horns measure 8 feet, 1 1/4 inches from tip to tip. When he was on display in the saloon back at the turn of the last century, every night when Albert closed up shop, he detached the horns and locked them in his safe.
There's a story behind every animal that we have here on display. In fact, we have a gorilla upstairs in the African room, and you'll notice that he has no hair on his chest. Well, in the old days, he was in the front area of the Buckhorn, and people would come by and rub his chest, so all the hair, came off of his chest. And we just have stories like that throughout the entire museum, and it's just something for everybody, I think, all ages.
Also at the Buckhorn is the Texas Ranger Museum, which houses hundreds of Ranger artifacts, including weapons, badges, photographs, and more.
They were the first law enforcement organization in Texas, started in 1823. At that time, I think there were 8 or 10 Rangers initially to protect the settlers, and now there are maybe 125 or so. They're kind of like the FBI of Texas, if you will. They have jurisdiction in any county. They help local law enforcement solve the bigger cases. The collection we have on display in the Ranger Museum belongs to the former Texas Rangers Association, and we augmented that by building a kind of a recreation of old San Antonio inside. We have a blacksmith shop. We have the original Buckhorn Saloon in there from 1881. We've got a dentist office, a barber shop, a jailhouse, and a reproduction of Bonnie and Clyde's car because the Texas Rangers brought down Bonnie and Clyde in Louisiana.
The Buckhorn Saloon and Museum has always been known as a gathering place for good conversation, food, drink, and spectacular wildlife, something members of the cattle industry are sure to appreciate.
Please come and visit. We have horns from all over the world, antlers, all sorts of critters, and it's going to be right up your alley. All of the staff here we're just like a big family, and everybody has a big personality, and it's a just really fun place to work, a fun place to visit. So we are a historic Texas treasure and a real sight to see if you're visiting San Antonio.
Reporting from San Antonio, Texas, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Don't forget, next year's Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show runs from February 1st through the 3rd at the Opryland Hotel in Nashville. You can go to the website beefusa.org for all the details on this can't-miss event. Up next, it's time once again for a good friend, Baxter Black. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Mosey on down to Music City and the 2017 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show. It's the cattle industry's biggest convention, and there will be a special event held at the Country Music Hall of Fame. Plus Cowboys Night at the Grand Ole Opry. It's the 2017 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show in Nashville, February 1st through the 3rd. Visit beefusa.org for more.
Let's face it, you don't think a lot about your trailer hitch. You use it and forget it. We understand. But at B&W, we think about it. Short nights, the long hauls, the never-ending chores. The unthinkable. We think about it all, so you don't have to. B&W. Trusted.
If you're not using IMI Global's verification programs, you might as well set your money on fire. To give your wieners added value, no program begins without a traceable animal. Then add on BQA and other specialties and you open up a whole new market for your calves. You might be thinking, the market's so good, why bother? You ever heard of making hay when the sun shines? You got a choice. Get in the game or visit IMIGlobal.com. Some people think the country isn't rural anymore. We've lost our down-home flavor and turned into connoisseurs. I admit that we drink Starbucks, but this I'll guarantee. We still live down a dirt road, get our mail RFD. I got a blue-eyed dog, he likes Mountain Dew, but he likes his chicken corn on blue. Is that rural enough for you? Well, he took me to the Opry where the fat girl sang real loud. And when the show was over, I applauded with the crowd. Now I can take Beethoven, Pavarotti now and then, but I like my classical music with yodel at the end. I tasted vintage wine and gourmet food, but I like my caviar barbecued. Is that rural enough for you? Well, the truth is we're not hayseeds, we just come from deeper roots. I remember Grandpa sitting in his Sunday polished boots, rocking me ma on the porch swing, just as cool as he could be. His arm around her shoulders and a spit cup by his knee. I gigged a frog last night with my pocket knife. I licked it off and kissed my wife. Is that rural enough for you? I got a pickup truck that is spanking new, just me and the dog, but there's room for you. Is that rural enough for you? I had a blue tick hound that died last fall. I had him stuffed, he's on the wall. Is that rural enough for you?
Thanks so much, Baxter. Now, if you'd like to learn more about what's happening with NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, you can find us on Facebook. Be sure to like our page, and we'll keep you updated with photos, details on upcoming shows, and much, much more. And it's a great way to connect with other cattlemen and women across the country. So check us out on Facebook. We'll have more Cattlemen to Cattlemen right after this.
There are many great reasons to join NCBA, and that includes exclusive NCBA member discounts and benefits from some outstanding companies.
Hi, this is Kerry Bastine, President of Roper Apparel and Footwear, Stetson Apparel Boots, and Tin Hall. We are very proud sponsors of the NCBA, and for all new members signing up with the NCBA, you get 50% off your first purchase, and for all Go Forward members, you get 25% off 4 times a year. Go to urbanwesternwear.com, click on the NCBA specials, use your coupon code for your first 50% off, and come back to Urban Western Wear all year long and use your 25% coupons that you'll find in the National Cattlemen's newspaper.
Big discounts on boots, clothing, and Western apparel is just one of the many amazing deals you get as an NCBA member. Don't miss out. Join NCBA today and enjoy these exclusive member discounts. Find out more at beefusa.org.
Welcome back. Many of you have snapped some wonderful photos over the years as you were out working on your farm and ranch. And we've loved sharing those pictures with our viewers. Let's take a look at this week's Legacy Photos. Want to see your photo on Cattlemen to Cattlemen? You can submit your favorite shots at our website, cattlementocattlemen.org. Include the name of your operation and your hometown, and we may use them on a future episode. Well, that's our time for this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next week, right here on RFD TV.